Welcome back to another episode of the Boxy Babes podcast. Today we're talking about the recently announced 2025-2026 Broadway and Detroit season. Joining us in this episode is the Public Relations Coordinator over at Broadway and Detroit, Amber Rasho. But before we dive into the episode, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms at Boxy Babes. Thanks again for listening, and we hope you enjoy.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm super excited to talk about all the amazing shows coming to Detroit.
There are so many exciting ones. This is a huge season coming up. RJ, also, it's always great having you here. Sorry, you're not the star of the show today.
All right.
We are here to just break down, and I'm just looking at this list. I'm just super excited for this list. I know there's some shows that RJ and we've seen in New York. There's some that we've been meaning to see. But right off the bat, I just want to start off with the season opener. Amber, how did you manage to get Beauty and the Beast so early in its season? Like it's just coming out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what I've noticed with a lot of these tours that Detroit is kind of one of the first cities in many markets. You know, we are one of the first cities for Parade. Last season, I think we were almost launching like 3 different shows. So we're really excited to kind of get that first chance, especially at Beauty and the Beast, with this being the 30th anniversary of the production as well. So we're super excited for that.
As RJ can attest, Beauty and the Beast is probably my favorite Disney movie ever, bar none. So this is like a huge, like as soon as I saw the rose in your pictures, I was just like, oh, it has to be Beauty and the Beast. There's no way we're not getting this show.
We're super. I mean, Disney shows are iconic in itself, so we're really excited for that.
Have either of you seen Beauty and the Beast on Broadway or on the tour before? I guess, Amber, let's start with you. Have you seen this one before?
No, not yet, but I am super excited. Disney always does a great job.
RJ, you've seen everything. Come on, tell me you've seen this.
No, I have not. I mean, because, I don't know when it was on Broadway. I think that's the only way I would have really seen it, because I don't know the last time it's been around the block. I'm not sure.
It's been a while. I would say that it's probably been, well, I'm looking, the last time it toured the US was 2010. So this is a huge jumping back in point for such a classic tale. And it's actually starting at the Fisher Theater this year too. 'Cause it seems like the past few seasons we've done Detroit Opera House first. So it's nice to have something back, starting at the Fisher Theater.
Yeah. And we prefer to book most of the shows we can at the Fisher. It's just with the larger shows, the Fisher does have a smaller stage. So that's kind of the reason we pick and choose what goes to the Fisher and what goes to the Opera House.
So when you're kind of, and I know like it's probably a team that's kind of doing this, but how do you get these shows? How do you line them up? What is the kind of the logistics of bringing a show like that? Like you said, they're kind of starting off their run in Detroit. How does it come to be?
Yeah, so we have a fantastic booking team out in New York, kind of our central location, and they do a great job. They see all the shows. They kind of think what's going to work best for the market, and yeah, they do a wonderful job. They did a great job with this season. I saw someone comment, whoever booked these shows needs a raise because Detroit has the best of the best coming.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, because you're going straight from Beauty and the Beast to Back to the Future. Like that one just ended its run at the Winter Garden in New York. Like that's a huge show, a huge technical show. And again, it's another one that's kind of fairly new into its run. Have you got to see that one yet?
I did. I got to see it in New York. Oh, it's absolutely fantastic. I mean, you get all the nostalgia from the movie. The DeLorean is on stage. It flies. It moves. It's fantastic. It's a really fun show too.
It's one of those ones that it's, like Beauty and the Beast, you know exactly what you're getting with it. It's pretty much the movie, give and take a few songs. I've heard that maybe they're even updating some of the music to match the movie. It's kind of what I'm hearing behind the scenes. But like Back to the Future, you're taking like a movie that does not have a lot of music to it and you're putting music to it. Do you think that it works pretty well for that?
Oh yeah. I still to this day I'm in my office going, we're going back in time because it's fun. It's a fun show. The songs are catchy. They fit, kind of the story really well, and it's a really great show. I think I might be most excited for that one because I really enjoyed it in New York.
Okay, so that's kind of your highlight of the season.
Yeah. I left like jamming and wanting to watch the movie. It was a really fun show. So I'm super excited for Detroiters to see it now.
RJ, how come we've never seen this show in New York? We've been there a few times while it was live.
I mean, you can only cram so many into a certain amount of days.
But truthfully, it seems like every time we were walking past the Winter Garden, people were just coming out with that energy that Amber's describing there. So it's really exciting to kind of see that one. And it's again October 1st through the 12th is Beauty and the Beast, Back to the Future. I know that we were both really excited for the next one because this is another one we missed. There's only so much time to be in New York and see it, but we get to have Hell's Kitchen next, which is that Alicia Keys jukebox musical. RJ, are you excited for this one?
Yeah, I'm excited to see it because, of course, we didn't get to see it, and due to the slew of awards that it has just won the past year, it'll be interesting. And I think, once again, just based off our experiences in the Fisher and with Broadway in Detroit and the audience, like, I think it's one they're really going to.
Absolutely. Again, Amber, did you get to see this one?
I did get to see it in New York, and it's a great show. I mean, Alicia Keys' music is already so iconic, so just to put that into the show. Now, the show is not a biopic directly, but it does reflect a lot of Alicia's actual stories. Like, in the show, she kind of has a mentor who teaches her how to play piano, and Alicia actually took the real name of the person who taught her and put it in the show. So it's a lot about Alicia's life. It follows a young girl, Allie, and kind of her journey with her relationship with her mom, with her piano director. And it's very relatable to someone like kind of young with my age, and to incorporate these amazing songs. It's a great show, and Detroit is going to love it. There's a lot of culture in it, especially like New York and city life and everything like that.
I did not realize it wasn't like a full-on like biopic. I thought it was like a one-for-one her life. So that's kind of interesting. So it takes her life and it kind of like plays with it a little bit.
Yeah. It takes a lot of key elements and stories, but puts it in Allie's life and in her story.
Like, what a way to kick off like the December season too. That's like such a huge, it's such a huge show. People are talking about it. It won Tony Awards. It pretty much swept the Tonys last year, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm. It won a Grammy too, I believe so.
Yep. Just won a Grammy.
Mm-hmm.
It did. Okay, so there's lots of power behind this, and I know that it's one of those ones that's almost impossible to get tickets for, because it's just sold out in New York. So that one's going to be a big one. It's kind of probably, I think, in my mind, I'm thinking it's going to be similar to the energy that we had with MJ the Musical this year, where there was just something. Like, Archie, how did you describe that energy? Like, it was totally different than most of the shows we saw up to that point of the season. Like, there was just like an electricity to the audience.
Yeah, I think it was a good balance, at least when we were there. It was a good balance of people who knew exactly what they were getting because they had seen it before and they loved it so much, and people who had heard all good things and were excited because they now wanted to experience that. And then obviously by the time you're walking out the door, I mean, people couldn't stop talking about the costumes and the dancing and it was just, it's one of those, like, you leave after the night and you're like, great, I'm going to be up for the next 4 hours because I'm so amped. And I feel like that's going to be how that show goes. I mean,
there's just, it's Alicia Keys is iconic, like, who else can, like, I should say that. Beauty and the Beast is also iconic. Back to the Future is iconic. But I think that what Hell's Kitchen does, it kind of bridges that gap between like musical theater nerds and people who love somebody like Michael Jackson or Alicia Keys. That kind of speaks to that wider audiences.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these shows are great segues to bring people into theater and be like, oh, I know these songs. I love these songs. This might be that was the closest they'll ever get to MJ. And, this might be something close that they can get to an Alicia Keys concert. And it's just fun.
Mm-hmm. Real quick, sorry, my ADHD's kicking in. Back to the Future real quick. Do they do But Johnny Be Good?
Yes, they do. They do. You're going to get Marty McFly up on stage. Yeah, jam into it. Yes, they do.
I mean, they have to have that scene,
Yeah, for sure.
And it's just the first film, correct?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, cool. Sorry, I just had all of a sudden I had to go back and be like, wait a second, I didn't ask the important questions here. And so that's really, going back to Hell's Kitchen, it's really exciting to be able to get to see that one because I think that Especially for touring shows, when you get that show that has like the Tony Award winning label to it, I feel like that's a big draw for a lot of us theater nerds too, because again, accessibility to shows. Not a lot of people can head out to New York, so when you get something like that, like Come From Away, that was a packed house this week where people were just, they were loving that show again because it kind of had that title. So to be able to see Hell's Kitchen again so early in its run is going to be really exciting. I am the most interested, I have to say, in Shucked, because I love that their campaign is that they want nobody to tell anybody anything about the show. Like, it's pretty much a big secret. But if you know anything about the show, Amber, tell us what's going on with Shucked.
Yes, I actually got the chance to go see it at the Wharton Center last month. I actually have my Shucked gear on right now.
Yes.
You know, it's a fun show. If you love the Book of Mormon, you will absolutely love Shucked. It has a lot of those little one-liners. But the basis of the show, it follows Maisie, who's the main character. Funny enough, Maisie. And she lives in Cobb County. Their main source is corn. That's what they all do. And suddenly their corn starts dying. So Maisie kind of branches out of the country to go find someone to help and save the corn.
That is not. I did not know what to expect. I guess that was not it. But like, that sounds super exciting. Archie, did you know about the show beforehand?
I've heard. I mean, independently owned is a staple song. I think it was performed at multiple kind of big like awards type concert type situations. And so it drew my interest in the show. I didn't really know the premise of the show. I've listened to the album a couple times, but I think it's kind of hard to know, even just based on listening to the album once or twice, exactly what's happening. So that's super interesting. But I have been wanting to see it, and I didn't get the chance. I knew it was going to the Wharton, so I'm super excited to have it come to Detroit, because I've heard nothing but good things. And Amber, now that you draw that alignment with like Book of Mormon, just from what I know of Shucked, I'm like, that makes so much sense. Like, yeah, that is the type of humor that I have, like, in the little snippets have seen and have heard. Even just, I mean, of course, the title and kind of slogan and songs like that makes so much sense.
What do you think Amber's gonna like draw? So this is one of those ones that I always wonder if, like, how do you get people who maybe, you know, aren't season ticket holders or like theater nerds like us, like, what is the draw of this show? How do you, like, you saw this, there's something that drew you to it. What drew you to Shucked?
Just the fact that it's simply hilarious. I mean,
okay,
if you like one-liners, if you like little all these corny little lines in it, like, it's funny. You will leave it, like, it's probably one of the funniest shows I've seen. I would compare it to Book of Mormon.
Okay, because as I say, it also was nominated for a lot of Tony Awards as well, including Best Musical. Like, there was a lot of power behind the show when it was kind of came out in 2022.
Yeah, no, it's fun. It's a good date night. I won't give away too much, but there are some people that fall in love and some new people and everything. So it's a fun night out at the theater. And, you know, we got it during the holidays too. So, you know, bring the family and come see the show, especially like during the New Year's. So it's going to be fun.
I love a show during the holiday time. We saw this year was A Beautiful Noise, and that was just such a great time out. We took RJ's mother and his sister, and we had a great time, and it was just like there's just something magical about like the holiday times. You're kind of down and you get to see something like a Shucked. Like this one's going to be a little more funny than maybe A Beautiful Noise, but that is really exciting that it's going to be coming right at that special time of the year.
Yeah. We usually sell like the best. Usually shows are mostly sold out during that time, just because everyone's home for the holidays. They're looking for something to do, especially with the family. So definitely looking forward to it.
And it's funny you said about like somebody falling in love. We just recorded a podcast for Come From Away, and there's just something magical about, you know, about that time too. I guess that's another time period thing too, like that time of the year. Just nothing like a good love story to bring people together. So definitely looking forward to Shucked. Can't wait for that one. And then we have a bit of a gap in our main season here from January 4th, and we're jumping all the way to March 3rd for The Outsiders. And we actually just got to see The Outsiders in New York when we went back in January. Gosh, I am so excited for the people of Detroit to see The Outsiders. I cannot wait for them to cry buckets of tears like I did, and I hope that everybody cries their eyes out. But Amber, this one's a huge one. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I didn't get the chance to see this one. My boss Scott saw it, and he just said nothing but good things about it. I mean, the special effects in this show, like, it actually rains on stage, and there's a big fight scene, and just really cool stuff in the show. So I'm excited, and we're looking to hopefully get a lot of schools to come because the book is a part of a lot of curriculums. So definitely want to get the word out as much as we can about The Outsiders.
Yeah, did you have to read it during school?
I did not. I had a little gap and went to Catholic school for middle school, so it wasn't in the curriculum. But I mean, every single one of my friends, I always ask, like, what's your favorite book you ever read in school? It's always The Outsiders. The Outsiders. I hear Pony Boy and Soda Pop and all that, and I'm like, okay, it sounds fun, but I definitely got to check it out.
No, this is definitely one of those. I think RJ, you read it too. We both were talking about it. Like, we read this. This was like kind of a staple in our schooling.
Yeah, I was obsessed with it. I don't even remember why now, but I remember being like, oh my gosh, is there anything else? Like, I wanted more. Which of course, for whenever I read it, maybe it was freshman year or end of middle school, for that age, wanting more reading was not normal for me. So, yeah, when this show came out, and then obviously when we watched the Tony performance of it, that is when I immediately was like, okay, there's something about this that's done differently, and we gotta check it out.
Believe it or not, Amber, when we went, not this past trip, but last year when we went to New York, we were seeing Water for Elephants, which isn't coming this season, but I know that's going to be touring sometime soon, so probably look out in the next couple of years. But we were in line waiting for it, and the people that were coming out of The Outsiders, we were just looking at them across the street, just like, this energy is something. It was just like something special. People were coming out almost like hooting and hollering, kind of having like the time of their lives. Have you seen the show? I don't know how nobody left that show crying their eyes out, but that's a different story. But it is seriously one of the best shows on Broadway right now, so I cannot wait. Like, I can't imagine that not being one of the huge selling points for this season.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. I think out of the shows that I haven't seen, that's one I'm most excited for, just based on word of mouth and what everyone has said about it. So I think Detroit's gonna like it.
How many of these shows haven't you seen?
I've seen 3 of them.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically the way it goes is that once a year they have a special Broadway League conference where we all kind of gather in New York. We see 5 shows in 4 days, which it's a jam-packed week, and we also have conferences and pre-show and after-show receptions. But yeah, I mean, I saw these shows before they were even a thought. It was kind of like my boss asking me, what did you think about it? Do you think Detroit would like it? And it's really fun to get to experience that and kind of give an opinion on what I think Detroit would like. But yeah, I was one of our team members that did see Hell's Kitchen, which I vouched for it heavily. And then, like I said, I went and saw Shucked when it was in Lansing. So if Lansing gets something, I kind of try to go out there and see it as well, just to prep for stuff like this.
I'm excited for you then to see The Outsiders, and I'm going to be sending you emails to see what you think after, because I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Our 6th show is one of our favorites. Again, we saw this not this last time, but the time before, and RJ actually went to New York to see it twice. Is that not right? Mr. Love and Juliet. Again, I think the exciting part of this show is that it's kind of like that Wicked vibe, the Wicked feel, where it takes a story and it changes it. I think that's a really exciting aspect, at least for this show. Again, it's also a jukebox musical, and I'm the biggest fan of jukebox musicals. But RJ, you've seen it twice, and you've seen it with 2 different casts. And so, what are your thoughts about this coming to New York? Not New York, Detroit. I'm okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very excited to see it again. It is, a change in cast, you do kind of get a different show every time, and so and yet you're getting the same content, and it's still as insane as every other time. But once again, super high energy. Like, I remember leaving the theater, and of course it's like pretty late because the shows there start at like 8 o'clock, so you're not out till like basically 11. And you think you'd be exhausted. Well, I mean, I was exhausted watching them do all the things that you're doing. Um, but then leaving and being like, once again, let's talk about it for the next 3 hours, because there was so much to unpack, so many characterizations. And then two, I mean, and maybe it's just my age, but this is the music of my age ish. And so we're getting it from another perspective, obviously, and wrapped into a different way of hearing it, but still just very like, almost like you smirk when you start to realize what song it is, because you're like, that's witty, or, that's like ironically hilarious. So yeah, very excited to see this one back, because again, I think audiences, I mean, they do love it. It's going to be a hit for sure.
Now, Amber, you read Romeo and Juliet in school, right?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
I do know the story. Yeah, so I'm excited to witness kind of the girly pop remix of the story, because I've listened to the cast album, I will say, and it's fun. Like I already said, it's iconic songs that we all know and love. So I'm super excited to see that.
Yeah, it's like hit again because of the way it's designed. It's hit after hit. Like it's very much like the Moulin Rouge, where like some of the songs are changed and some of them are pretty straightforward. But you can't help but just like everybody's going to be loving the music and just getting into it. I think like that's one of the coolest things that we can have with Broadway shows, is just like becoming one with the show. Like it, but you don't. When you go into it.
Yeah,
and so there's
definitely
a beauty
a good
to
time.
That.
Yeah.
And we love, at least I know RJ and I we love a show that will take a story and flip it on its head. So anything like a Wicked, anything like an Anne Juliet, it's gonna bring down the house. I don't see this one not just going completely crazy, especially in that six like that age bracket for Six, the musical. Anne Juliet hits that right off the bat. RJ, I'm gonna let you take the last one because this is your show, and I don't want. You've seen this twice as well, so do you want to lead us off on what this last show of the season is?
Man, it is the thing that I literally won't stop talking about. Suffs, the musical. I'm obsessed. It's unhealthy. It's fine. We saw this show unintentionally in previews, and then I saw it again the night before it closed. So yeah, you could say I'm a fan. I'm a little bit biased, but I think, wow, what an impactful show. What an important message in both history and in real time. And so excited to see that it's hitting Detroit on its essentially tour launch. It's not very, I know it's not just basically taking its steps off. So I was, Amber, 10 stars for me on this one, because I was thrilled when I saw this.
Yeah, Amber, this is a great one.
That's awesome. I'm super excited. I mean, it's really great when these shows tell actual stories of real life people, real life situations, and really educates the audience on certain things that happen. So I'm really excited to wrap up the season with Suffs.
And like this is such a timely one too. Not to get into politics, but with things going on in the world, just kind of this was the one when RJ and I first took our first trip to New York. He pushed for this one, and I was like, do we want to see this? And he's like, no, I think we have to see this. And I was like, okay, I'm all for the shows. And when I say that we left a sobbing mess, Amber, I'm underplaying it. I don't think there was a single person that wasn't sobbing their complete eyes out. I looked like I had cried mascara I didn't have on. it was just a mess. So this one is going to be one of those ones that I think, especially for people who love theater, this is like the quintessential, like, this is like the Broadway feel out of all of them. Because a lot of these are kind of upbeat, you know, that younger vibe. And this one is, while it's younger, it's also very classic. Is that a good way to put it, RJ?
Yeah, I mean, I think it hits all the things that you want from, I think, as we've previously referred to, like old school musicals. Like you get that old timey, here's the song and dance, but like we said, you get a message, and but it still feels very, very youthful. Like the scripts and music just do such a good job at storytelling that it doesn't feel like storytelling. It just feels very immersive. So yeah, I think it's, you know, I can't even remember if I cried at the end. Act 1, just I was done. I think halfway through Act 1. So I truly, I don't think I've ever been so emotional during a show in my whole life. But it's gonna be a good time, because it does leave you with, it's one of those shows that leaves you feeling empowered, and it leaves you feeling like, let me take what I learned from this and literally go and apply it for the rest of my days.
100%. That is the greatest way to put it. It is such an inspiring show. And Amber, I just hope that you have your tissues ready, because you're gonna be crying.
I'm looking forward to it. I really do love the shows that are very thought provoking, and like you guys said, the season majority of it's kind of more fun and whimsical, and we do like to put that kind of balance when building these seasons, so you get kind of all of it all in one.
The fact that Phantom of the Opera is coming is by far one of the greatest things in the world, because Amber, I went to go see this once in New York years ago, and I was late by an hour because we thought it was the wrong time, and I missed the beginning of it. So and then it closed, and then it was done, and I was like, I'm never seeing the show again. It's never going to tour. I'm never going to get to see the first act played out. So you are completing a life dream of mine.
Oh, that's so exciting. Yeah. I mean, Phantom is just an iconic show, one of the longest running Broadway shows there are. So yeah, we're super excited to bring that back to Detroit.
And again, another one that's like just starting out its tour, and we nabbed that, which is just like a win for Detroit. That's just so fantastic. Have you both seen Phantom before? Like maybe the movie, but like we've seen the show before, right?
Oh yeah, I'm a bad Broadway person. I have not. No, I have seen Les Mis, and you know, everyone says you got to compare the two, so I'm excited to see the comparison. But
ooh, you've never even seen the Gerard Butler movie?
Maybe parts of it.
Ooh. Amber's killing me here.
I'll be better. I promise I'll be better. Do my research soon.
No. RJ, you've seen this like 20,000 times, right?
I saw it twice on Broadway way back in the day. Good old, thank goodness for like high school band and tour, like, you know, touring, because from the nosebleed, like the last row of the last balcony, which actually is pretty cool based on, I won't give any spoilers away, but based on the way that the sound production for the show is done, it's actually a very cool experience from the balcony, but still will be nice to see it again up close and personal, because yeah, it is a timeless classic. Andrew Lloyd Webber, you get all of the power ballads, even though it can feel like a bit much sometimes, but we don't have too many dark musicals. And so I think that's why Phantom is so unique in its own right, is of course you've got this like love story happening, but for those of us that like a little bit, like it's just on the edge of creepy, when you really think about it, and or if you've read the book. But very excited obviously for this really cult classic to make it stand in Detroit.
I will say that I think the closest we have right now is Sunset Boulevard, also by Andrew Lloyd Webber, of getting that creepiness vibes, and the fact that we get something close to that to be in Michigan is just a win. I am also going to be very interested in how they produce some of this for a touring stage. Again, having never seen it, like it toured a few years ago, like before COVID, I think, to Michigan. But I know that like in New York and stuff, and like in the pro shots and stuff, they have the things that come down and people are walking. It's like to be able to see this kind of play out on stage. I'm so excited. Like this is two things I asked for on my Christmas list was Beauty and the Beast and Phantom of the Opera, and I got them both. So like, this is probably the best season for me.
We're excited to make your dreams come true.
Amber, do we know when this is playing and if it's at the Fisher or if it's at the Detroit Opera House?
It will be at the Opera House.
Okay, it's a big show, so that makes sense.
It is a very large set. Yeah, I believe, I remember I talked to somebody at Wicked, and he was a production manager on Phantom, and he said it takes about 38 truckloads to bring the set in. Yeah,
Holy
so
smokes.
super large show. The three
So we're not making it smaller.
No. Nope, it could physically not fit at the Fisher, but yeah, the three extra shows that we're talking about are all going to be kind of earlier 2026.
Okay, perfect. Right around my birthday. Woo woo. No.
Right.
So Phantom of the Opera, we're super excited for that one. Detroit Opera House makes perfect sense. And the reason I said about that not making it smaller is I had heard that they were going to make it like they were going to condensing the show a little bit. So I'm glad to hear that they're not condensing it at all, and we're going to keep it kind of intact the way it's supposed to be, because Phantom of the Opera should be experienced one way, you know. So the next one is also one I've never seen live. The Lion King. What? We were Amber, again, not to talk about New York again. When we were in New York, we had one open day, and one of the shows was The Lion King, and I kept telling RJ, let's go see The Lion King. I've never seen it. And he just kept repeating that. I can't believe you've never seen The Lion King on stage. This is a huge one.
Yes. And it's going to be here for 4 weeks. That one will be at the Opera House as well. I believe we actually kind of have a layover with, I think The Outsiders and Lion King. Don't quote me on that. But I know there is a layover with one of the shows. But, yeah, I mean, Detroit loves it every time it comes here. I mean, the movie is so loved and so well received. So to portray it on stage, and it's stunning the way that they portray the animals with the puppets and like Disney magic is real. I will say, whenever they put on these productions, they find some way to just give that awe moment. So I'm excited for it.
I was gonna say the first Disney show I've ever seen was when Frozen toured last year. And I was just like, how are they going to do the snow magic? And then once I saw it, I was like, I'm not going to question Disney anymore. So, like, I'm not questioning Beauty and the Beast. I'm not questioning The Lion King. Like, there's no way that those aren't going to be fantastic. And The Lion King is probably one of the longest running shows on Broadway right now, if I remember correctly. Mm-hmm. Archie shaking his head, yes. Archie, you've seen Lion King. I know you told me that one, so.
Yes. Yeah. When I worked in Grand Rapids, we actually had to reconfigure the theater for the show. The stage was big enough, but for other reasons, once again, I won't spoil anything. The theater itself had to be reconfigured to have the show, and it was so good. And it does, once again, Disney magic, and just the thoughtfulness of I'll say even some of the behind the scenes stuff that I was prone to be able to see and experience. They're just very, I guess some people could say, meticulous in the most positive way to ensure that your experience is incredibly magical.
And it is if you think about comparatively to like Aladdin to Beauty and the Beast, Lion King is a huge, it's a big set. It's a lot of moving pieces. If what I'm guessing what you're saying is correct, I don't know how they're going to do it, because I think we're talking about the opening here. Like that, all of that feels very huge and very big. And so the Detroit Opera House is going to do, that's going to be such a 4 weeks. That's like going to be a staple show for this season. That's huge.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last extra show that we can talk about is another staple show that, Amber's excited for this one.
Oh,
Hamilton's coming back.
Me some Hamilton. I love that show.
And important question then, Amber. Which Skylar sister are you?
Angelica, I love her. Her songs are the best.
They are. If there's one song I can rap fully through, it is "Satisfied" because it is so iconic.
Oh my! I'm not even ashamed to say this, but last Saturday I was bored at home and I put on the sing-along version on Disney Plus and just went off on that first 20 minutes of the show. I mean, Hamilton is really just like someone who's a big fan of rap music and the way it's just incorporated in the story of Alexander Hamilton, George Washington. Like, Lin-Manuel Miranda is a genius.
Absolutely. I mean, it's such a technical
so
show.
Yeah.
Like, it's another one of those ones, and RJ and I love talking about them. Shows that can just you sing from start to finish, like A Come From Away, like a Les Mis. Like, they're like, you're doing all this dancing, especially Hamilton. You're doing some really hardcore dancing. You're singing, you're hitting these high notes. You're just going from one scene to another. There's really, truly nothing like Hamilton, and the impact that it's had on Broadway has been monumental, to say the least.
Yep, the impact it has on Broadway, on culture, it just it brings a new light into the story. And I was an avid hater before. I had a friend who was absolutely obsessed with it. And I'm like, what are you making me listen to? Until I saw it, I was absolutely blown away, and it's stuck in my top 3 since I've been here.
And RJ, how, like, you've seen this probably so many times ushering. Are you tired of it yet? No.
No, there's all. Well, that's the thing with it. There's so much happening that you can always, and just the talent that it takes. Like, and obviously for every show you need to be talented, but this one specifically, the words and the rap being so quick while doing choreography that is also so intricately timed, with a high-paced show, like, it's insane. And so even though I may know also most of the words, there's always something to catch, and there's always something to appreciate, and I'm always in awe. And it truly, I mean, I know every single, I think I ushered it at least 2 or 3 times, usually for 3 to 4 weeks at a time, and they were always sold out runs. Like, it was just always, it never, I think the only other shows that really that happened for were things like Wicked, for, the big names, but this is one of those. It's just like, it doesn't matter, years go by, and it's still, people just are obsessed, rightfully so.
It's so interesting to see this talked about, because as I was at work today, I was scrolling through social media, and people were still talking about it because of Saturday Night Live, and somebody had made a comment, and they're like, you don't understand what, like, this is still holds, like, power over people. Like, this show is pretty much selling out wherever it's going. New York is still selling super high, and, like, it's every time I've gone every time it comes to Detroit, and they're packed houses. Like, people show up for Hamilton.
Yeah,
so that's
we
always
just
exciting.
had it in 2022, sold out, complete 3 weeks, and there's no doubt in my mind that it's going to sell out again.
Has it been 3 years since it's been here?
Just about, yeah. Yep.
Ooh.
I started in 2022 in the summer, and then that was, I believe, my 4th show I ever worked, and I was like, this is amazing.
You're like, I could do this all the time, and you are.
Oh yeah, I even like entered the lottery because I was like, I got to see this in the best format. So it's a really fun show, and it's so popular that it has multiple tours going on at the same time. I know when it was here the first time, there was 3 tours at once. It was playing in 3 cities at once, selling out. And what other show can do that?
There's nothing like Hamilton is of itself just something so special that so many things are trying to capture that. I think that, like, that's why we're getting such great shows like 6 that are kind of inspired by it, that are just, I mean, Hamilton literally started a revolution. Amber, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for talking about all of these shows. I know that there's more secrets and tricks up your sleeve coming soon for the season that people can look forward to. We're just so excited. Thank you so much for being on here.
Yeah, no problem. And yeah, I encourage everyone to look into subscription seasons because you're going to get that best price at the best seat. And, by being a subscriber, you get first chance to get those season extra shows. So There's a lot of great perks coming with the subscription. And for anyone curious, also every year, I don't know if you guys were here yet last year, but we do a subscription test drive event every year.
Okay.
If you guys heard anything about it, but it's a completely free event. We invite anyone and everyone to come down to the Fisher Theater to kind of see all the seats and see the different options available for subscriptions. People can go backstage, something that that they don't get the chance to do, and we have fun games. I hosted Broadway trivia last year, so you guys gotta come and play some trivia too.
Absolutely. When does that usually kind of like? When can we be on the lookout for that?
Yeah, we're shooting for a date sometime in April this year, so
Okay.
Hoping to get all those details locked in. But yeah, we're trying to make it the biggest and best it's ever been this year. So we got a lot of cool ideas in mind for that.
And so always stay tuned to Broadway and Detroit's website because they keep it updated with all of when you can buy season tickets, individual tickets, as more shows kind of roll out. They're kind of the hub. I know I'm on there at least 2 or 3 times a day trying to figure out dates and stuff like that, find tickets. You can't beat what's going on here in Detroit. So, but thank you again, Amber. We appreciate your time here. And thank you again for listeners for joining us in our box seats. Until next curtain call, take care.
Well, thanks, guys.